Hey Kirby, so I have a question to you, and me asking you this question is it's like um speaking with the fortune teller. I'm trying to see into my future. At what point, whether it be a income or a net worth, at what point did you stop feeling broke, or do you still feel broke today?
I stopped feeling broke. I mean, again, you know my story. I've said it many times on here. Is I believe in you want your necessities, your cost of living to be low as possible. I stopped feeling broke when my cost of living was a certain amount. I'll just use an example. Let's say my monthly cost of living is $3,000 a month. I stopped feeling broke when my income was about five times that on the passive side, not work side. I meant strictly on the passive side. That's when I stopped feeling broke. When I was making, five times that with, me and my wife working, I still felt broke because it's like, well, the only reason why we have this gap is because we're working. We need to make sure that we have this money if it's not working. And then so once I got about five times over what I needed, the bare minimum for me to live, and I got five times over that, that's when I stopped feeling broke.
Okay.
So it's not a magical
So
number, not it. It's not a magical number where it's like, oh, I made 2 million, then I stopped feeling broke. It was
yeah.
how much income can I bring in?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good answer. That's not what I was expecting, but it makes sense
So what was you
because
expecting?
no, I was expecting like a because I already know your expenses are like Kirby's expenses are low as shit, but I mean, because I already knew it was low. I was expecting you to give me like an income figure or something, but that makes sense. It really does make sense because I can honestly say, and you and I have discussed, me, paying off certain debts or whatever, and then bringing in more income from different things that I'm doing with like say the stock options and stuff. The more that like gets unbalanced where I'm like lower income, more in or lower expenses, more income, I can start to see more I can start to feel more and more relief, like knowing, okay, I'm less and less dependent on this job. Okay. Now I'm pulling in more income. Now I can see my passive income bringing in more income. I can see more movement, more traction. So it doesn't
Hmm.
feel as like tight and like I can't breathe basically. So I can see that to where you get to a point where you're 5x what you need and you really feel like you're all right. So that makes a lot of sense. It really does.
Right. Yeah, it was a guy on Twitter. He said to me, well, he put the comment out there. He was like, he was like, if I'm invested in the stock market and I got $500,000 in the stock market and I have a paid off house, then what else do I need? And I explained to him. I said, funny, I was in that exact situation. I paid for my house cash. I had about $500,000 invested, and you still feel broke. And then he didn't understand. I said, the bills are still going to come. Where are you going to get the money to pay them? Oh, you're going to have to siphon off from the $500,000 that's in the investment account. And then, of course, you're going to travel, you're going to do this. And then it's going to be inopportune time to take money out of your investment account. If you're not, because $500,000, let's be honest, $500,000 with even with the paid off house and you're getting dividend payment, let's just say the dividends is at, 3%. 3% of $500,000. How much is that, Alex? You smart. I'm not.
15 grand?
10 grand?
Yeah, 3% of
10,
500,000? Yeah, 15 grand.
yeah. So 15 grand. So 15 grand in a year. How you gonna live? That's what cell phone that's cell phone bill, lights, gas, phone, water,
Yeah.
taxes, insurance, still gotta get paid. So, and then that's what I explained to him. I was like, I understand that everybody won't think, oh, if you just pay off a house, oh, if you just have money sitting in the stock market and it's gaining 3 to 5%, you don't have to work. Yes, you do. You still do because the bills are still going to come and it's going to eat into that. I was in that exact situation. I remember we talked about when you first called me and you was like, "Hey man, I saved up my first $100,000," and I was like, "You still feel broke, don't you?" You're like, "Yeah." Because why? Because you don't have the income to supplement the bills that come. So you got $100,000 saved. It's not like you can just go to your job and say, "Oh, f you, I got $100,000 saved. I don't need y'all no more." Because now you start doing the math. All right, if I got to pay, let's say, if even if your house is paid off, I got to pay $2,000 a month. You don't have, the freedom to go do whatever you want to. That's only gonna last you what about a year or two before you got to go back and look for a job.
For
That's what
you.
it was. So and remember, I was a total stock guy. I refused to do passive income. Forget all that. And but you still had that dilemma of, damn, how do I do live the day to day? Yeah, I got some cash sitting on the side. No, I don't have a house payment, but how do I still live day to day? That's the dilemma when people believe in that mindset. But the key for me, the big switch was the passive income side, or income that's coming other than the job. That's why, investing in businesses, investing in real estate, dividends, selling options, different things like that, that was going to bring me a monthly income to cover the expenses that is inherently here just for living, in any country. Once I, 5x that on the income side of what I needed for monthly, that's when I was like, okay, now I have some money. Inflation is going to happen, so those costs are going to go up. So, and then of course the rents and business is going to increase and stuff like that to beat inflation. But that's when I felt like it. And
Okay.
then after that, after I got over the 5x, then it was just more X. Let's just keep exiting and going higher, 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 just to, make sure I can go around and tell people to, kiss my butt if I feel like.
Right. Yeah, that and it's interesting because I've been like my wife and I, and my wife sells health insurance. We've been doing different, I guess, pulling in different forms of passive income, the real estate side, stock market, health insurance. And so and I'm not trying to tell people go out and diversify. I'm just, because we've spoken plenty on that, on diversification. But if you can do, if you have enough time to do multiple things, like how you always talk about, you still work because it's still not pulling time away from what you're mainly focused on. So like if especially in a couple perspective, like if your spouse is, able to build something else like how your wife is doing, right? She's got her business, she's building that. She can focus on that. It allows you to not have to focus on something like that, and you can focus on real estate, you can focus on stocks. Working like in a team perspective where like you've got more than one person, start putting everybody to work basically and pulling in different incomes. Because really, I mean, what benefit would it do you, two people working on the same real estate deal? Just one work on a real estate deal and then the other go focus on something else. And so being able to build that kind of structure, that kind of strategy to where, I can focus on the stock side, I can focus on the real estate side. I can see, okay, let me just focus on building more income out of these avenues. And then she can focus on, health insurance. She can focus on doing taxes or whatever, pulling in income from those sources. And it kind of building a, I guess you could call it a portfolio to where, now if anything were to go wrong in the housing market, like how we've talked about, freak scenario, if 70% of your units went vacant, what do you fall back on? And so if you have stocks, you can pull an income from that source. If something happens in the stock market, then where the income, what other income would you have from there? So that's something we're doing too. I don't know if that's something you guys also practice, but um, we're doing that too. I guess you guys do because you do real estate and stocks and the side hustles and all that.
Yeah, for me, when we talk about diversification, I do not believe in diversification in one asset class. That's just me. What I mean by that is, let's just use the stock market for instance. I'm more of a concentrated portfolio of hey, I do the research, I get, one or two stocks, three stocks max, and then I plow as much money into it. Or I just go into the S&P 500 and I plow as much money into it. I'm not a stock portfolio guy having 50 stocks in one portfolio. I think that's absolutely crazy. Uh, but I do believe in diversifying asset classes, meaning, all right, you 100% focus on one asset class, you grow that, then you have that down. That's just second nature to you. And then you take that asset class and then go into another asset class, i.e., buying businesses or something. Then taking that asset class after you focus on that, then i.e., buying real estate or however, whatever mixture of whatever path you want to go. I do believe in diversification that way, but I do not believe in diversification in the same asset class. Like I I don't know why people sit there and buy Nvidia stock, AMD stock, Intel stock. That means you just don't know what the hell you're doing. That's what it means. If you just don't know what you're doing. And so they plan the gamble is, oh, I don't know which one's the best, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of money in each one of them, and then whichever one goes up, then that's the one that's good for the portfolio. No, that's terrible, because you could have, if you did the homework first and you found out, let's just use Nvidia in the same scenario. Nvidia is the best one. You plow all your money there. When Nvidia goes up, then you make a boatload. But if you only got a little bit of money spread out in Nvidia, then even if Nvidia goes up, it's not going to be life changing for your portfolio. And then that's where I see a lot of people at. And then going back to the other thing you said of having you focus on one thing, have your spouse focus on another thing. It's all about trust. And that's what I don't see in a lot of relationships. People don't trust the other person to be able to make decisions. And I always ask the questions. If you can't trust your spouse to make a decision, what the hell are y'all even married for? Why are you even married? Oh, well, we didn't know that they couldn't make decisions. Well, what the hell was y'all doing during the whole courting phase before you got married? Y'all just wanted to lay up and was like, oh, it feels good to lay up with this person. You didn't go try to understand what they're thinking about, how they operate, or anything else like that. It didn't come to the forefront until you got married. It's shame on you. If you got to sit there together and be like, okay, we got to do this together. No, you can start it together and then be like, all right, now we got the ins and outs. You take this off so I can go do something else, so we can have a different stream of income coming from somewhere else. That's the way it should go. But it shouldn't be a situation where, oh, well, no, I can't trust them to do that, so I got to do everything. No, hell, I wish I would. Not gonna happen.
Right. No, and that's those are so some things that we're doing, I mean, and I agree. I mean, like with the commodities aspect, I've heard people say like, "Oh, you got to buy gold, you got to buy land, you got to buy whatever." Like, and so then there's no income coming from that, and they're just kind of like saving their money into like, "Oh, I've got cash, I have gold, I have land," and it doesn't really do anything for them. And I mean, they're not selling it or anything. So yeah, it's the same thing as
So let's use that same thing, what you just said. I mean, I believe in cash flow all the time. It has to provide cash flow, or I'm not investing in it. Um, let's use land. Everybody say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy land." This is their scenario. I'm gonna buy land, and then when the market goes up, then I'm going to flip it and sell it. Now I got a tax burden. We ain't going to talk about the tax burden. But what do you do if you put all your money in land and then the economy goes to crap? Now people ain't buying land. You need money. Your money's trapped. You're not getting any cash flow from it, so you're just stuck. Then you end up selling to somebody like Alex for pennies on a dollar because you need the money, and then he's just saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna buy it low, and then I can just wait." Because he's just gonna buy the land with the cash flow that's coming in, that's gonna keep coming in, and you sitting here waiting for a flip. That's why a lot of home flippers, they lose out. They don't know what they're doing. They trying to flip at the height of the market when nobody's buying. Now they're selling houses at a major discount. And I've seen, and I'll get with you offline about this, but I've seen about 12 properties where the person bought the property, put all this money in there at the top of the housing market when interest rates at 7, 8%. Now the interest rates are dropping, but people don't have any money to go buy property. And then they're dropping about 20, 30, 40, $50,000 just to get out of it because of course they got bridge loan debt and or they got balloon debt, short-term debt, and they gotta come off of it real quick. I see people who bought properties rehabbed them, and now they're selling it for less than they originally bought it when it was dilapidated. It's the craziest thing ever right now. But people, flippers, they don't have that mindset. They think it always works all the time. That's not the truth. But cash flow works all the time, all the time.
Yes, it does. With all that being said, guys, leave us a comment down below and let us know what you guys invest in. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one.